everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Culture. It has been about 3 months since I did another Coffee and Culture episode, and I think I did a video addressing this already. But if not, just a really quick update before we get into the topics of today. I just stopped making videos for a while as I focused on rebranding my page and rebranding my brand and just really changing it over from being so makeup focused and hair focused to kind of slowly walking more into fashion and more commentary. So it just took a little bit of downtime to kind of figure that all out. And during that time out, a lot of things have happened. And I really wanted to do this video just to talk about those things. I'm still trying to nail down what it is that coffee and culture will be representing. To me, it just feels like a space where I can come and talk about things that surround different cultures, whether it be anime culture, film culture, TV culture, pop culture, black culture. I just really wanted the series to be a space where I can just talk about things that have been really heavy on my mind, whether it's in a good way or a negative way. Um, but today's episode is going to be talking about what it is like to be going through the Black Lives Matters movement as a black lesbian woman, um, and really just the emotional side effects of that, um, how these conversations play out on social media platforms, how they play out in personal lives, the personal effects of going through this as it happens to your community. So, I don't really have a working title for this episode. Hopefully, I kind of figure that out as I go through this. But yeah, so to start off, the first thing I want to talk about is saving face, which has been something that Black people have always been keen to. That I notice a lot of non-blacks or whites don't really know what that looks like. Um, so I want to talk about that, and also just non-black people and brands doing the bare minimum when it comes to their involvement in Black Lives Matters. I always put an S on that, but it's, Black Lives Matter. Um, Before I really get into it, all of this is coming in the wake of the death of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, whose birthday is today. She would have been 27 today, so happy birthday, Breonna. Um, this is such a sad way to mourn someone's life, on their birthday. It's really emotionally just derailing. And I also want to give highlight to Tony Mcdade, who was a transgendered man who was also, recently killed. And, just ensuring that we are not erasing black trans people from this conversation. Black trans men and black trans women, gay men, gay women. Um, I'm going to talk about this more later on in today's episode, but the way that homophobia runs rampant in the black community is disease, like, honestly. Um, so, what happens when, black people are killed by police and it's videotaped? Um, Essentially what we always know is going to happen is that there's going to be a protest almost immediately after, especially when the police are known, the officers that are involved in the murder are known, and arrests aren't made immediately. There's always going to be protests and eventually riots, rightfully so. But what people don't always think about is how quickly information starts to pour in on the social media side. And what really brings to light is social media activism. And I think it's great. It really is to see the different types of activism that can be done, and understanding that there are ways for everyone to be involved is always very enlightening. And it feels like there's always a way for someone to help. However, even with that in mind, what I always see to happen is, as black women, I immediately start to look at my inner circle of friends on social media platforms, whether they are friends I know in real life or, just mutuals that I have. They're always the first people that I start to look at, because something devastating has happened to my community, and it's very, very well known that it's affecting everyone within my community. So I always look to my inner circle first. I want to know how a lot of them are going to react. And thankfully, my inner circle has been pretty well off. I don't want to give cookies for doing a job of not being anti racist, but it does make me feel secure to know that my friends are not, actively sitting by and not saying anything. A lot of people have been posting information, posting links, posting articles where people can read more about the victims, can read more about systemic racism. And it's a great thing. This is sadly, unfortunately, a time to learn about racism, but when has it ever been an easy thing to force people to learn about racism? Um, but on the flip side, there are a lot of brands and a lot of non black people who are doing the bare minimum. And by bare minimum, I'm really talking about things like, they're posting the Blackout Tuesday Square, and, the caption is hashtag Black Lives Matters. And, that's it. That's their activism for today. Wrap it up. I've done enough. I've done my part. I've posted the black square. Sometimes they'll even post the black fist to throw a little razzle dazzle in there. Um, but, it's the bare minimum. And when it comes to friends, I feel like anyone who knows me truly understands that I am a don't give no shits, don't take no shits person. You know, I am exactly who I seem on the surface. Um, and I think that's why my inner circle, was not with that bullshit when people started protesting and doing social activism, people knew what the fuck to do. Um, I'm gonna be cursing in this, and I'm not gonna bleep this out, y'all. So if you have kids nearby, I doubt it though. A lot of my followers are like my age, maybe some kids, but Anyways, um, but on the flip side, a lot of brands are doing the bare minimum, and this is what really, really infuriates me because how dare, like let's put aside the big brands that should have been posting the minute this happened. Brands like Fashion Nova, Pretty Little Things, which I am beyond irritated that I just did a haul for Pretty Little Things. Um, Pretty Little Things, Boohoo, all these big misguided, all these big online fashion brands which heavily involved in the black aesthetic, involved within, black culture. These brands always want to dip into our Kool-Aid. They always want to take our shit for a joyride and bring it back damaged. They don't want to be here for us when it comes down to fighting for us. And I'm of the age where it is no longer a okay, well, like it's okay if they're not doing that, It's not okay. It's really not, Unfortunately, black women cannot be the gatekeepers of black culture, and that's what really, really always pisses me off is we cannot even gatekeep our own culture. You know, I don't want to dive too deep into it, but it is what it is. Our culture is up for sale, and we are not the people selling it. Um, but these brands get off because they get to grab from our culture, sell it to the white masses, and as long as the white masses are happy, they don't have the need to do better, So I was looking at Skims earlier today, and I don't believe they've changed it since, but I was looking at Skims, and had the audacity to post a black hand with a fucking Pantone color human. And that was the post. And it's like, that she puts down the number to text for George Floyd, and it's like, sweetie, what are you doing? One post, nothing to inform your massively white audience about systemic racism in the country, how racism portrays itself, microaggressions, what black people have to deal with daily, the pay gap. None of that. Hundreds of articles have been written online, and you couldn't find one to post, one to link. So this is the bare minimum saving face I'm talking about when it comes to these brands, is they are doing the absolute bare minimum, and the white masses are accepting it. And that is why it's always infuriating to me when I'm trying not to detour this conversation too much, but it's like when I see these performative pieces of cops kneeling and cops crying and cops hugging protesters, it's like they are saving face, y'all. When are y'all going to wake up? Shit doesn't change because the minute they throw us a tiniest bone, there is someone grabbing it. You know, if black people could have ended racism long time ago, don't you think it'd be over? If holding hands with a cop would have ended racism, don't you think it'd be over by now? So when I see these brands doing these bare minimums, and black folk call them out, or other white folk call them out, the pushback always knocks me on my knees, because who in the hell is upset that someone is calling out someone else for not doing enough? If you're not doing enough, you should be called out on it. That's like handing in a paper with the C and being like, it deserves an A because I did it. Like, you gotta be kidding me. You're not getting an A just because you did the paper. The paper is trash. Your activism is trash. It's not doing anything. I myself have called out brands. Other people have called out brands. And, that's, if you are really into some social activism, some online activism, that is the biggest thing you can do. Is call out these brands, call out these people, call out your friends, call out your family members. I'm going to get to family members and friends a little bit later, but call these brands out. If you follow brands and you see them doing the bare minimum, call them out. Unleash rage on them. It's just, girl, it really baffles me how people can sit here and just let a brand post one picture and be like, all right, on to our regular schedules. We did it. We did the bare minimum. Fantastic for us. Girl, it's exhausting. So as black folk, as we're calling out brands for doing nothing, at the same time, we are mourning the brutal execution of black people, whether it be in the hands of the police or black trans people at the hands of their own community. And that's something that's traumatic right there. And I don't want to touch on it too much because it deserves its own video and its own research. But as we are mourning, we are also having to educate people. As we are protesting, people are going out there protesting. They're writing things on their car like Black Lives Matter. They're hanging up, pictures, mourning people who have passed. You still have to sit there and educate people why it's important. Why this is not a simple, this person was bad and the cop was good for shooting that person. And that's what's so exhausting about this entire movement, is having to educate the same time that we mourn. There is no way for anyone who is not black to understand what it feels like in America To watch someone of your own community be murdered by police, there is no way for anyone to ever understand. You don't know what that feels like because no one else has the history of black folk in America, especially black Americans who are the direct product of chattel slavery. It is a constant reminder when people fight us as we're mourning the death and reminding us that we also have to educate them. It's the constant reminder of where we are in our country. It's the constant reminder of our history. It's the constant reminder of where we lie within this system. Disposable. No one else understands that except for us. When we mourn for these black people, it affects us in a different way. It is emotionally draining to have to watch video after video after video of black bodies being brutalized at the hands of police. And not to, girl, I'm trying so hard not to deter this conversation, but when people say we need to reform the police, how? What do you mean reform? That's like trying to reform Nazis. That's like trying to reform the Holocaust. It doesn't make sense. The entire purpose of police is to detain and kill black people. And y'all want to reform that? Y'all only want to defund it? It has to be abolished. Because police are not here to help y'all. And this is where educating comes into play, because now we have to educate people on the history of police. Because non-black folk and white folk take information at face value. I can't speak for all black people, but I know myself and my circle, definitely my family, have always questioned things. Why should I believe that the police are good when history has shown that they're not? But y'all simply want to defund police. That's not enough. It's not enough. There is not enough sensitivity training in the world. There is not enough activism in the world. There is not enough anything in the world to fix the police system. It's not meant to help us. It never has been. So it's it's exhausting. It's exhausting how much we have to fight, you know. We have to inform people about what's happening in our community. We have to inform them about information when it comes to Black Lives Matter. We have to inform them about systemic racism. We have to inform them about how racism affects black women, at a different level. Internal racism within the black community. Colorism. It's exhausting. We have to remember that black trans people are part of this Black Lives Matter, and that's another thing, is the fact that as we are protesting and marching for black bodies, within the black community, there is still so much homophobia, and it doesn't click. I don't understand how we as a community can sit here and say, oh, the heterosexual cis black people are important, but not the gays. Not those. Baby, that doesn't make any sense. And y'all know damn well that doesn't make any sense. And as a black woman, who is a lesbian, it's astonishing to me that cis heterosexual people are asking the gay community, the LGBTQ community, to march for them, just so those same people can turn around and say, no, y'all don't count. Y'all don't matter. And that just blows my mind. It's infuriating. And it should infuriate everyone. You know, when we go to these Black Lives Matter protests, trans people need to be included, especially black trans women. They especially need to be included. You know, as I've been going through this and just having daily conversations with Monique and having daily conversations with family and friends and loved ones who have checked up on me, um, and I've just, reiterated the fact that it's exhausting. And eventually, as I think all black folk understand, is there comes a point where you have to start conserving your energy and unfollowing people, unfriending people. Same thing with brands who are not getting the picture. During this time, this is the best time to check your circle, check your friends. Is somebody doing the bare minimum? It's time to unfriend them. I was on Instagram. Girl, listen. I was on Instagram, and there are a few people who had the audacity to be having a good old time. You know, there are people posting, and I'm not talking about black folk. I'm talking about whites and non-blacks. They are on Instagram having a good old time, girl. Partying, going out to drinks, getting tacos, girl. Celebrating birthdays, celebrating, whatever, the anniversary. Those people have been unfriended. Those people have been blocked. Any brands that I didn't see, make a post, refer some links in the bio, put some links in their bio, talk about this with their audience, highlight black voices in the creative field. Any brands have been unfriended, unfollowed, blocked. Any brands that I saw running ads this past week, if you had time to run ads on my timeline and you didn't make a Black Lives Matter post, blocked. Blocked. And that's the sad thing, is that when things like this happen, we are reminded that there are a lot of people who are not fighting. That's the reminder. That's the reminder of why racism still exists, because there are a lot of people who aren't fighting. They're not fighting for us. They don't really care if we get out of this situation or not. There are people who believe that black people, I kid you not, y'all, are inherently violent, inherently stupid. They're like that. And y'all know exactly what communities I'm talking about. It's very specific. They like to believe that their struggles are valid, but our struggles are self inflicted. And people like that, I cannot waste my energy on. I gotta go. And I think it's important for all black people who are noticing that within their circles to leave those people behind. If there's anything you need to leave in 2020, it's those people and those brands. Brands who didn't speak up for you, brands who did not fight for you, brands who did not educate their white masses. It's time to leave those brands behind. You have to conserve your energy as we go through this, because as the protests start to die down and the looting starts to die down and the riots start to die down and we head into Pride, the month of Pride, those of us who are within the LGBT community have that battle to fight. As we end the battle with racism, for now, we have to fight the battle for homophobia, against homophobia. And it's draining. It's draining. So I think it's really important, and that's why I really wanted to do this video, so I could just get all this out, because this felt very heavy on my chest, and it felt very draining on my chest, and what I wanted to say was consistent and constant and just always on my mind, and I want to be able to aid my trans sisters as we go into the month of Pride, and to uplift their voices and to uplift their struggles and give them a platform to speak on and talk about that, because it's very, very important. You know, it's for those of you who don't know, I feel like everyone should know because she's posted everywhere. But as we go into Pride Month, remember Marsha P. Johnson, and thank her for what she's done for the gay community. For those of you who don't know, she was an activist, self identified drag queen, and a survivor. She was important in the creation of Pride. She was the first woman who threw the stone against the Stonewall Uprising in 1969. Marsha was a fucking idol. She was an icon, a legend, really. It's so much on my mind when it comes to just accepting the fact that I am always going to be fighting for something. I am always going to be fighting for something. There is never a time where I don't have to fight. And as you know, I kind of stopped talking about this on social media as much. If you follow me on Instagram, I've been making an Instagram video damn near every day or posting something every day, and that's draining. But it's important that those of us who are non-black, people of color, and white people continue these conversations on at home. The biggest thing I hear come out of white people's mouths is, I don't want to teach my kids about racism because it's scary. And girl, I don't give a fuck how scared your child is. Are you kidding me? I would love to be scared instead of dead. Because that's what the black kids have to go through. They have to go through death. I learned about slavery when I was 5. There's no hiding from who you are. When all the other kids come to school and they're talking about, my great great grandmother was from here and my great great grandfather was from there, and people ask me, where am I from? And I have to tell them I don't know, because I'm a product of chattel slavery. Come on now. And y'all are scared to teach your kids about it? That's what we call silence when you don't do anything. So continue to do those conversations within your community. Because if white people listened to us, racism would have been over a very, very long time ago. This video is pretty long, and I know I don't have much to say as an ending, because it's not really an ending, it's just a continuation. Not that I care for Nipsey Hussle, but it's not a race, it's a marathon. And like I said, a lot of us still have to fight as non-black people of color, and white people go back to their regular lives. Black people still have to keep fighting, especially LGBTQ people. We continue to fight. That's it. I have another clip that I'm gonna play that I recorded after I was done filming, and that clip is actually gonna tie us up. My air conditioner is playing in there, so I'm sorry, but thank you guys so much for listening, and continue the conversation down in the comments. If you need a place to vent, please feel free to vent. This is definitely a safe space for black women, especially black queer folk, black trans women, black trans men. That is what I want my channel to stand for, is a safe space. So thank you guys so much for watching. I have another video coming up next week. I'm trying to keep up with the video once a week. But yeah, thank you guys. I'll see you guys next time. Hey y'all, so I know my AC is going on in the background and it's really, really noisy, but I just wanted to quickly get on camera and not do a voiceover and just say thank you to everyone who continuously supports my channel. It means a lot, all the views and the likes and the comments really help, and it means a lot. And I also just want to give you guys a reminder, especially to my black people, my black women, my black trans women, my black trans men, my black gay men, my black bisexual men, and black, bisexual women, my black cis women and cis men. I just want to remind you guys to take a break during this time if you need to. Other people don't know what it's like to have to fight for your life and, you know, to demand human basic rights. And you deserve a break. Don't feel guilty if you need to log off social media. Don't feel guilty if you need to watch 5 hours of cat videos, or if you need to play video games, or if you need a break, because this affects us differently. With that said, take care of yourselves. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it helped you. Feel free to vent, you know, for yourself in the comments. This entire video was just one big vent for me, just to get it off of my chest. And you know, it's hard to vent to people who don't know your struggle and who don't know what it's like. So if y'all need that, you have it here. Go ahead. I'd love to, you know, talk with you guys about it. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know my air conditioner is going. It's hot, girl. But, you know, take a break if you need it. At the end of the day, this is a marathon. And not to quote anybody, but, you know, don't be beat down by this, because we have to keep going for the rest of our lives. So I love you guys. Thank you guys so much. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.